Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. I'd like to introduce you to Tony MacDonald, who is the director of the Urban Coast Institute at Monmouth University. And I know this is probably way too general, and you can explain what the Institute does, but you take a look at the overall health of the coastline and the water. Is that
Absolutely,
right?
And we try to work very much with the university to engage the expertise we have here, to engage the students in learning opportunities, but also to support the communities in New Jersey and in the Mid-Atlantic region to sort of manage their coastal and ocean resources better.
So now that we talked about it generally, specifically, what do you do?
Well, we kind of have three areas that we work on. We'll probably be focused. We have a lot of areas, but we definitely look on what do people care about in New Jersey. They care about clean beaches and water quality. They want to make sure that it's safe for boating and swimming and fishing. So we work a lot in the nearshore area to be sure that such habitats are functioning properly. But we also work on the other side. We want to make sure that the communities, everybody likes the Jersey Shore. They like the community, so you want to make sure they're sustainable and resilient. So you also want sustainable economies. So how can we sort of reconcile our love for the environment with the fact that we also have a lot of people who live here, and we want to do it in the right way? So those are sort of really the kind of things that we look at. And we also look beyond the shoreline. So we're also looking, there's a lot going on in the ocean. I think most people don't realize that.
No, or care about it.
Or care about it. I don't think they recognize that it makes a big difference in their lives, and we try to make some of those connections.
Is that a national problem with trying to take care of the ocean and the way the ocean affects all of us, in that somebody in Kansas or Nebraska or even Illinois may not care?
Well, I think there's a whole out of sight, out of mind. People don't think that the ocean relates to their existence when 90% of all of our trade happens through our nation's ports. So most of the shirt you're wearing probably is imported on a vessel. People don't recognize the connections. They don't recognize that everything that comes to the ports goes through ports to the rest of the country. The ocean is also very important to the environment. Climate's a big issue right now. But climate, the ocean is a regulator of weather. So how the ocean relates and how healthy the ocean is in absorbing carbon is very important to the relationship to climate. So droughts in the Midwest. We need to know more about the ocean in order to better manage droughts in the Midwest. But those connections aren't made very often, I don't think.
And how do you make them then?
Well,
how do you get people to care?
Well, I think a couple things. You always have to appeal to their emotions, sort of really what do they care about. But I do think that we are trying to work on a couple of initiatives right now. We are actually working, we were fortunate to get a big grant from the Moore Foundation to work on a whole Mid-Atlantic Ocean data portal, which means we're trying to gather all the information about the Mid-Atlantic and make it searchable by everybody. Even you a technophobe, or you like technology. We could actually have you go on and actually focus on a place and bring up where's the fishing happen. So we're trying to make the ocean accessible to people through the research that we do, and also some of these kind of remarkable tools that you can use these days.
You talked about you examined the health of the ocean. How healthy is our ocean?
Right now, I think it's gotten better. We remember it. Again, we're of a generation, I'm a little bit older than you, I think, but of a generation where we did a good job with the first generation of environmental laws, cleaning up the mess we made back in the 60s and 50s. But now we have these new emergent threats, and people don't know about that. So we have, I mentioned carbon earlier. We have ocean acidification, where increasingly the pH, as a result of the increased carbon load, is actually changing the chemistry of the water. We're just finding out about those phenomena. Fisheries, very important. People care about fisheries not only because of the communities and all the fishing industry, but it's also the way of life. The boats in the harbor, I mean, that's something we care about. But we know very little about the life cycle of fish. We don't know the connections to that. So we could do a lot better job investing, and we are way, and everybody says this is not me because it's my area of work, we are way underinvested in ocean science and understanding some of these connections, which are important, not only for the environment, but important for the economy. We have a huge ocean economy in this country.
They're talking about offshore oil drilling along the Atlantic coast, especially down south. I think New Jersey got a respite from it. Is that good for the ocean?
Is it good for the ocean?
Because that's your area of expertise, the health of the ocean.
There's the issue. I think the issue is really with regard to offshore drilling is, I think the industry has a very good case to make that they have come a long way with regard to the level of protection and sophistication. That said, there is a lot of concern. Catastrophe, we unfortunately in this country sometimes make our decisions based on catastrophes and crises rather than long-term planning. But clearly there is a concern about a spill, given how much we value the tourism economy and the fisheries economy in this region. So I think that is a driver. The industry is trying to address that. I think they have. They're much better in terms of their safety risks, but there are a lot of other issues. There are a lot of scientific questions about they need to go out right now and do sonar testing in order to really understand how much oil and gas is there. So there's some communities that are very concerned that that might be impacting the life of some of the fisheries or some of the mammals that are out there. So what is the impact of that? So there's a lot of, I think, questions. Obviously, it's going through a public hearing process right now. So we have both sides and many sides of the argument coming out to try to have their say about it. The proposals right now are looking at the South Atlantic. So they're not looking,
But that
as
could
you said,
affect the New Jersey
There's a
coastline.
question about whether it could affect the New Jersey coastline, and that's why the state is actually reviewing some of those proposals to see whether it impacts New Jersey's coastal resources. So clearly people are concerned about that. It has been a fairly well-held consensus in this state that doesn't matter what political party you have, from a political perspective, there has not been support for oil and gas drilling in this area.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations on the grant.
Thank you very much.
That is wonderful.
Great.
Tony MacDonald, director of the Urban Coast Institute at Monmouth University. When we come back, there is going to be the remembrance of an important anniversary, and it's only going to happen in New Jersey. Operation Baby Lift that ended the Vietnam War. When we come back.